you don't want to be a polygamist, right? And he's like, no, I'm monogamist only. I'm like, okay, well, that's good. So what are you guys' first impressions with David?
What if all you thought you knew about putting your kids first was a myth? What if the true damage was not from neglect, but from the misplaced priorities of a parent masquerading as love? This novel could upend everything you think you know about family, life, and it could shatter your heart. Welcome back, friends. I'm Isabelle. This is StarSpill USA. Today's show uncovers a bitter reality. Parents being selfish cost their kids dearly without them ever opening up about it. We're going deep into the tale of one family that will have you wondering where the boundary is between healing and hurt. Let's talk about Lucille. Watching her in this moment genuinely hurt. And it's not just her. It's all of Christine's kids who are trying to make sense of this emotional whirlwind. Imagine being a child and hearing your own father say he never loved your mother publicly. Imagine how that messes with your self-worth. But there's the gut punch. Christine isn't just a victim in this. Her actions at her wedding with David speak volumes. She was overly affectionate, almost oblivious to how that might feel to her minor children watching. They're still healing, and sometimes healing quietly requires space, not a front row seat to their mom's romantic rebound. Here's a moment to think, is it healing if it's hurting the ones who need you most? Christine appears to be in a vicious cycle, pursuing love, keeping the men at the forefront, and expecting the kids to adapt. They have already adapted enough. And speaking of uncomfortable moments, let's gloss over the more explicit scenes TLC showed, such as Kelty's placenta or Robin's amniotic fluid butlets. Say this one thing: amniotic fluid should be pale yellow or clear. When it's green, it may indicate meconium is present, and inhaling it can be risky. Cloudy color and strong smell typically signal infection, which can be hazardous. Luckily, in Robin's situation, there were no reports of major complications. Now, let's shift focus to someone who has quietly shown real strength. Isabelle. Despite her scoliosis diagnosis, she carried herself with remarkable grace. Watching her manage the physical pain and emotional toll of wearing a brace was heart-wrenching. Yet she faced it all with maturity beyond her years. But this is the ugly part: she was kept from surgery. For the saddest reason of all, vanity. Her father wouldn't let her get ask or consider that with holding a child. The opportunity to live pain-free, just so she wouldn't have a scar. That's control, not love. Christine wasn't innocent herself. She remained silent, watching as Kody shut down their daughter's needs. It was years of anguish before she finally acted to advocate for Isabelle. One of the most appalling times, Kody had suggested that Isabelle have her surgery by herself due to risks. Yet he went to a wedding, hugged the guests, and brushed aside those very same risks. That wasn't prudence, that was sadism masquerading as reason. And here's the thing that cuts deepest: strangers were more empathetic with Isabelle than her own father was. She required care, consistency, love. What she received was emotional abandonment. He didn't want to disturb his preferred household. He didn't want Christine or Lisa around. It was never really about safety. Surgery became urgent once her spinal curve surpassed $50 in early 2020. Kody delayed it until September. But even then, Kody pushed for further delays. From the beginning, he was against surgery. He avoided doctors who even mentioned it. He threatened to cancel appointments, and he broke his daughter's spirit when she needed him to be her strongest protector. So there's the question: what is the kind of parent who would choose ego over empathy? What healing can ever result from that? This is not just the story of one family. It's about the thousands of children who are growing up wondering if they matter. It's a reflection. And sometimes it's hard to look at. When does attempting to safeguard your child become enabling their suffering? Christine's decisions regarding Isabelle's surgery demonstrate the messy pull and push of love, fear, and denial, and this section of their narrative illuminates how even the best intentioned parents can have a detrimental impact by mistake. Christine and Isabelle's sisters did stick up for her, and that meant a lot. Christine guaranteed surgery when the time came, and she came through. But although she didn't go after Kody forcefully on television, we have to consider the balancing act. She was performing off camera. She was fighting fights we didn't always hear about. Still, Christine's initial alignment with Kody's skepticism, particularly when it conflicted with medical advice, was harmful. Her silent acquiescence at first sent the wrong signal not only to Isabelle but to viewers all over who've seen the same patterns in their own living rooms. Kody, however, was downright contemptuous. His actions were shot through with vanity, obstinacy, and downright cruelty. He downplayed the danger of the operation, joked about Isabelle's looks, and habitually neglected his children's most fundamental requirements, such as food and medicine. His neglect was not merely emotional, it was physical and practical. Well-seeing Isabelle struggled to keep her cool when she was discussing her surgery. Those moments were just heartbreaking, and Christine didn't postpone the surgery, but she let Kody's influence intrude into Isabelle's perception of herself. His comments made her doubt her self-worth, and here's the brutal truth: attempting to shield your children from harm by keeping the abuser's actions hidden actually usually serves to protect the abuser more than the child. Christine attempted to keep the peace by showing Kody in a gentler light, but protecting the kids from his injurious behavior meant that they still had to bear the weight of that pain alone. She was between a rock and a hard place. Damned if she fought with Kody in front of the children, and damned if she said nothing. Ultimately, she walked away from the marriage altogether. Like Janelle and Mary, she knew that there was nothing to save personally. I also recently discovered I have scoliosis, years of ignored pain and neglect from the medical system. I must say that I am grateful that Isabelle was diagnosed dearly and has been able to receive treatment. She and Aspen are maturity and strength in a way that goes far beyond their ages. They have become strong, independent young women in a very different way than the example their mothers set. And while Christine and David have every right to be affectionate the pace of their relationship and getting the kids involved too quickly, particularly dragging them along to wedding venue tours before they are even engaged, can be disorienting. Public displays of affection are one thing, but doing so without considering how the kids feel can come across as insensitive. Nevertheless, the fact that Christine's children are able to communicate discomfort is itself a measure of emotional safety. They are comfortable enough to speak out. Contrast that with Robin's children.
They're interested in dating, a guy that has similar beliefs, but I'm like, hey, shouldn't be the reason why you're at a church.
Who hardly ever express their feelings on television, perhaps because they don't feel safe enough to do. So yes, Christine does have moments of dismissing her kids' worries, but by and large, she appears to be a caring mom. And the most significant thing, her children feel safe, heard, and encouraged to develop their own identity. That's more than a lot of children receive. The cringe-worthy Jenga moment between Kody and the children stiff, clearly set up, and emotionally dull. It was the polar opposite of the genuine, at times awkward, but honest exchanges we witnessed between Christine and her kids. Some resent Christine's public display of affection with David as too much. Others view it as a woman finally giving herself permission to be happy after years of being emotionally starved. Perhaps it is both. Perhaps she's overcompensating, but perhaps she's only human. Catching up on lost time. Empathy is important here. Amaria's distant posture in certain scenes, distant bored, was probably a manifestation of the emotional intensity she shouldered for years. She and Aspen have become tough in some ways that no child should ever have to be. It's a good thing at the end of the day to show your children what a healthy relationship is, but to do it on their terms. Taking care of their comfort is better. Kids take time. They require space, and they need to be heard, even when what they say is difficult to listen to, because in these families, it's not about getting over it. It's about ensuring no one is left behind. For children with divorced parents, seeing their parents begin to date again can be source of a great deal of stress. It's not uncommon. Many children feel trapped in the middle, wanting their parent to be happy, yet not knowing and perhaps not feeling secure with this new adult entering their life. What is most important during these times? Open communication, respect for their emotions, and room to transition. Christine and her children are still finding their new normal. And yes, there will be bumps along the way. This isn't just about dating or a mirage, it's about learning how to rewire what family even is after years of dysfunction in this universe of fundamentalist polygamy. It all hinges on the patriarch. Kody was not only a husband, he was the alleged hub of stability, the ultimate authority, the one charged with shepherding and unifying the family. So when conflict flared, whether it was Mary and Janelle having blow-ups, or Christine alienated by Robin, it wasn't merely interpersonal melodrama. It was Kody's job to lead. If Robin had an issue with the family's parenting style, it was his job to intervene, either to get her to conform or to conform for all of them. That was the order he insisted upon. So when it disintegrated, so did the foundation. That's why Christine, Janelle, and Mary, the original three wives, or as they've come to be known, the OG three, arrowed some grace. They suffered under a system where they were tasked with maintaining harmony. While Kody dispensed favoritism as Candy Robin, she receives only an eighth of grace. because now in her monogamous arrangement, she can't pass the buck anymore. She's taking all the emotional hits Kody used to share. And it's not so simple anymore. Let's discuss double standards, because those were rampant. While Christine was being induced at the hospital, Kody was caught kissing Robin at her residence. That's not only Tory, it's a slap in the face. Years before Robin was even married into the family, Kody broke all the rules for her having Christmas, okay? Ear piercings, okay, moving in with the rest of the family prior to marriage. No issues, and let's not forget Robin got the elegant fairy tale wedding. The other wives got humble ceremonies except Mary, who Kody now claims he never loved but old footage tells. A different story at one point, he clearly wanted to be Mary's husband, whether he's rewriting history now for Robin's sake or simply lying to save face. The truth is the world sees him for what he is. Whatever your location, whether you're in America or halfway, around the world it's difficult to avoid the manipulation. And a lot of fans are convinced that there was more to Robin's timeline than we were presented, with one hypothesis that Kody and Robin were spiritually sealed from the start, possibly even before. Cameras rolled the rules of courting. She broke. Weren't mistakes, they were flouted. Because she was going to be the favorite. No matter what Kody made, exception upon exception driving his other wives and children away. He didn't care whom he hurt as long as Robin and her children were okay, whether or not it was all scripted or ruthlessly true. Allowing those dynamics to play out on national television was a daring move, and not a flattering one. And then there's the holiday issue, another domain where Kody's double standards were revealed. The wives asserted they never celebrated Christmas until Robin arrived on the scene, but evidence doesn't deceive coordinated pajamas made by merry family tales. Traditions, Christmas wasn't. New Kody simply didn't prioritize it until Robin demanded that it be important. He even attempted to call off Christmas one year in the interest of economy, until Robin insisted, and like clockwork, the rules curved to her advantage. Kody always professed to enjoy Jewish holidays or even Joseph Smith's birthday, finding Christmas pagan. But the irony here is most of the Christian holidays borrowed from older pagans in order to convert Kody's pick and choose believing only ever seemed to kick in when it was convenient for him or Robin. So if we examine how it all fell apart, one thing is evident. It wasn't favoritism or religion, just control. And when the control splintered, so did the family. Kody likely just despised spending money. He didn't even wrap Christmas gifts last year. Typical Kody, theoretically speaking. The husband in a polygamous marriage is intended to be a mediator, a bridge of wives maintaining peace and harmony reality. Kody did just the opposite. He made sure to keep the wives separated, isolated from each other, in an attempt to keep them from uniting, divide, and conquer. It wasn't an accident, it was a tactic. This type of system automatically favors men, the wives forced to battle over leftovers, time, affection, and attention, and Kody enjoyed it. His ego flourished on being the eye of the hurricane while his wives vied for his acceptance. Why end a dynamic that catered to his self-esteem? The whole arrangement was a charade and holding. The women responsible for the breakdown. That simply misplaced rage. Kody was always the issue. Compare that to Brady Williams and his family from My 5 Wives. Their home wasn't crazy. There was affection, communication, stability, no explosive blow-ups, just a man who actually loved his wives and children. Ironically, that's why their show didn't survive. Peacefulness doesn't make for compelling television. Robin, on the other hand, would have failed in Brady's respectful communal existence. Her mentions would fail in a system based on real trust, and this is an ugly truth. Many fundamentalist, polygamous cultures actively encourage husbands to create strife between wives. It's a test, a control mechanism, pit them against one another to maintain obedience, not just sexist. It's systemic. It's patriarchy. And sheep's clothing. The OG3, Mary Janelle and Christine, weren't naive. They were adult women, sure, but brought up in a system of belief that said this life was their gateway to heaven. Exiting wasn't only difficult, it was spiritually risky. They weren't wives exclusively, they were survivors of a completely broken paradigm. And although the wives created their own parenting errors, particularly Robin, whose dysfunctional home life frequently exhibited signs of neglect and stress, the underlying problem was always structural when the family is based on favoritism and emotional manipulation. The kids always end up suffering in the end. Kody wasn't our religious warrior with a large family. He was a weak man employing a spiritual mechanism to excuse his failures.
Isabelle?
I stuck it out because you guys were still home and all that. And then when he no longer was a really great father, it's kind of felt like I had the ability.
When the stakes grew high, he tapped out, the wives became weary. The whole polygamy experiment came crashing down, leaving behind dysfunction and pain. Short of, grace may be the best way to describe it, I'll just look at Mary now, seeing her settle into her B&B and utterly change her demeanor towards Robin speaks volumes. She no longer must play the niceties simply in order to be rewarded, with crumbs of Kody's attention and the dynamic. It's turned around, and honestly, it's sort of funny. Robin attempted to guilt Mary and making the situation all about her emotional loss. But did she move Mary? Did she contribute anything other than tears and manipulation? Of course not, because when the acting is over and the power has switched, what is left is the truth. And the truth has never been Robin's forte. Not a cup of coffee, not a box. Move just another installment of Robin's trademark move, empty gestures. She showed up with some frilly, overly decorative trinket, clearly her taste, not Mary's, and called it a gift. One more useless thing to pack one. More attempt to seem thoughtful without actually being helpful. Classic Robin all drama, no action. It's painfully clear Robin's effort was never about family. It was always about optics, following Kody's checklist of how to look like the supportive sister wife. So Mary might still be worthy of his attention. But Mary's not playing that game anymore. She's out of the competition. Now that Mary isn't angling for Kody's favor, she's done tiptoeing around Robin's manipulations. That final "I'm just a phone call away" line, it was the cherry on top, a desperate passive-aggressive ploy to cling to relevance. Mary's cold response said everything, she's over it. And it's not just about Robin, it's about cutting emotional ties with Kody. Robin tried to turn Mary's move into some tragic moment for herself, like she was the one being left behind. But Mary, she just stood there, unmoved, unimpressed, like she was silently saying, "You done yet?" Robin didn't bring help or coffee or emotional sincerity. She brought a cheap journal. Some awkward, overly sentimental prop that no one asked for, a crying scene in the making. And Kody highs, "Excuse, this is just hard on Robin, please." If Robin can't lift a box but can deliver props for her next emotional monologue, she's not affected. She's acting. Mary finally saw it. The mask slipped Robin's, not the peacemaker or the loyal sister wife. She's a performer, and Mary's done giving money, time, or emotional energy to the circus while this is happening. Robin's not idle. She's plotting to win Janelle back, not because she loves her, not because she cares about her family, but because she needs the financial support. Kody can pretend he no longer needs Mary, but Janelle's income. That's a different thing. Altogether, guess that. Journal was necessary. It's about time Mary stopped playing nice. She has the strength, toes. And up to both Kody and Robin, she's always had it. She just needed a reason to finally use it. And Robin's "I'm just a phone call away" line, comedy gold, especially considering she lives just minutes away the second Robin arrived. The mood shifted from lighthearted to heavy. She was the ultimate mood killer, like storm clouds crashing a picnic. Mary's love for Solomon and Robin's other kids seems genuine, but that's where the goodwill ends. Honestly, it would have been perfect if Mary had just handed that frilly little gift right back and said, "Not my style, keep it, and don't even get me started on the producers." Why won't they get real answers from Robin? Why is she permitted to spin these out and out falsehoods and confessionals without being pushed back? On it, everyone is whispering that the crew works on eggshells because if Robin gets angry and doesn't speak, they lose their star. But come on, this is her sole livelihood. Someone needs to call her out on this at some point, or the entire show is a farce, and this 2-year lag in the schedule, it's humiliating. We're watching history and it still looks staged. If producers weren't spineless, they'd threaten the sister wives' salaries, unless they actually responded to actual questions. Perhaps then we'd receive something better than this ultra-edited snooze fest. Somehow Puddle Monkey Productions was able to film the most dramatic family disintegration and turn it into a nap. But this season, something's different. And I love it. For the first time ever, they're showing the lies side by side. Kody or Robin says something in a confessional, and the very next scene proves it's a lie. No need Torwind, no need to pull up old clips. It's all right there in the same episode. It's refreshing now. If only they'd play it back for Kody and Robin on camera, just to watch them squirm and try to explain it away. I'd pay for that. And did you watch the season 18 talkbacks? That's television. The ex-wives and Kody sit back and respond to reruns, and believe it or not, they're franker than the show itself. Robin is just miserable throughout the entire thing, just sitting there fuming, most likely thinking about how long she can keep this up until the checks run out, and yes, it is her sole line of income, that's why she remains. They require more of that, make them sit through their own manipulation as the OG wives call them out on live TV. Let's see Robin justify why she never shows up to the kids, let's see her deny it with Mary sitting next to her giving hints that Robin won't answer or try. TLC actually conducted a viewer poll. What did the fans crave, a complete reunion or tell all with everybody on stage? Surprise. Surprise won't do it. Wonder why the OG3 are finally telling their truths, and it's enlightening since they're out of the marriage now. Nothing stops them. Anymore. Robin and Kody, on the other hand, they continue to weaseling out of answering the hard questions like it's their Olympic sport, all while pseudo-tear-jerking their way through scenes like they're the actual victims. The show handed them everything: money, airtime, sympathy. Yet they act like they're doing production a favor by showing up at some point. Someone has to say answer or no paycheck, period. Honestly, I'd pay good money just to lock all of them in one room, throw away the script and just watch the meltdown unfold. Real time, truth bombs, no cutaways, no soft questions, just raw honesty, the talkbacks. They're pure gold because you haven't got time to think. Up a lie when you're speaking off the cuff, they reveal us as we truly are. But what if all of them had to sit together and respond? Live next level drama ratings would skyrocket. But it's infuriating that producers won't force Robin. I want to see her grilled, literally grilled on the falsehoods she's been telling us all these years, like that time she teared up over spelling move as move just after Mary gave. A different whole story altogether. So who is lying, and why won't anyone call them out sometimes? I think they're just letting them hang themselves, giving them enough rope so their falsehoods eventually self-destruct, maybe. But if Robin keeps ducking real questions, she shouldn't get paid. Simple as that, and let's be real. She probably makes the most, just because she drives engagement. That's why they treat her like she's made of glass. But enough is enough. If you're getting paid to tell your story, then tell the whole story. Don't sniffle on demand and pretend you're sharing a confession. If you can't, tell the truth, leave the show. I'm so tired of producers walking around Robin and Kody like there's some delicate royalty. And as for the interviewer, don't even get me started. They're meant to ask the hard questions, but all we get is softball safe zone questions that serve no purpose in challenging the narrative. Here's what we want: ask Robin why she never calls Christine's kids, ask her why she refuses to meet Mary halfway, geographically or emotionally, and for the love of reality TV, make her account for that. Moldy mansion drama rather than breezing over it like it never occurred. Kody's narrative control on the show is unhinged for years. Now OG3 have been branded as hard, emotional, or unfaithful, while Kody and Robin glide over the mess untouched, and producers, they just let it pass. They show us the imbalance without ever tackling it. That's why Robin gets away with evasive crying and lying every week like that fake personality test she said Christine took. Where's the evidence? Where's the follow-up if TLC really wants better ratings? This is the move. Put Kody and Robin on the hot seat, give the OG wives the floor, let them challenge Thales live, unedited and unfiltered. Because here's the truth: Kody and Robin can't quit. They need the paycheck, which means production has the leverage, so why not use it? Push them. We're tired of the fake tears, sick of the same recycled falsehoods, sick of being gaslit by those two every season. It's time to call them out or have the audience do it for you. On a less positive note, this is the first season that we actually get to see the falsehoods side by side. And truthfully, that's a small victory, because reality TV is strongest when we get to read between the lines. And let's get real, Kody and Robin's contradictions are now so obvious. It's really funny. You don't even have to dig anymore. It's all out there in the open. Here's the catch: some viewers still just want their favorite storyline validated, not the complicated truth, and producers understand that. That's why Kody and Robin have so much leeway to spin their tales while the OG3 get called out for uttering anything less than divine. We all witness Robin lies about her history. She's the perpetual victim. She manipulates even the simplest aspects, such as that phony personality test, and producers, they just allow it to roll by. No follow-ups, no responsibility, just skip to the next stage moment. Truthfully, they might learn something from shows where no one gets a free pass, shows that have enough respect for the audience to treat cast members with the same accountability.
And you know what? And that whole stupid thing about me complaining about the pecs and the rock hard abs, or, well, washboard abs.
This show once guaranteed a truthful glimpse into life with a polygamous family. Now it's become a circus where truth is lost under scripted drama and favoritism, and don't even get me started. On the rumors Kody being besties with production wouldn't surprise me one bit. It explains why. The Robyn show keeps running unchecked. I'm done with this season. Time to tune out and let them know with my views and my silence that this formula isn't working anymore. Seeing Robyn pretend to cry while she throws her sister wives under the bus and uses religion as cover is just tiresome at this point anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree, or are you still holding out hope for redemption? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you won't miss my next breakdown. Take care and lots of love to you.